ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. It's a beautiful Wednesday, March 24th. Please remember, this is the last quarter of your freshman careers for some of you, because some of us are probably going to see Mr. Ramirez all over again next year because we're not being responsible. But anyways, a couple of reminders real quick before we get started. Don't forget, it is the last quarter. We're going to be filled with a bunch of STAR tests. Yes, the STAR test is important. For you, yourself, and I, you must pass that STAR test in order to graduate. If you don't pass it, you won't graduate. Yes, you do have this year, next year, the following year, your senior year to pass it, but why do you want to keep taking it if you can just pass it the first time? So take full advantage, try your best right now, and you should be able to be good to go. Couple things, remember we do have our agenda today. We have graphing and key attributes of quadratic functions. I'm going to show you something new that I did. Notes, videos, what we're doing right now. Choice board. Please do the choice board for extra practice, your quiz, and the discussion topic. Something new that I tried today, ladies and gentlemen. Check it out. When you're following your notes, you're going to see engage yourself. Click here. I'm going to show you guys, which I should have been doing, but because this year has just been so crazy, why we're doing this stuff. You know, there's a couple things that I know you want to know. What is this for? So if you click there, you're gonna see Jamboard. You click that, you're gonna see stuff that I'm gonna try my best to relate the topic to. So here, quadratic functions is this parabola. This is U-shape. Okay, it could be either positive or negative, either going down or going up. Real life examples is pretty cool, it's pretty interesting. Obviously when you see bridges, this is beautiful, beautiful. This is a parabola, it's going downwards. Oh my God, I know a couple of us have gone to Six Flags or maybe some theme park or even a water slide, right? Boom, this is a parabola. Oh, but check it out, there's another one right here too. Before it does a little turn. So there's two parabolas right there. McDonald's, OMG, parabola, parabola, that's two parabolas. Throwing a football, parabola. Shooting a basketball, parabola. For the most part, yes, a lot of the parabolas are negative because they're always coming down, and it's better for stability. That's okay. I know most of my boys here, soccer. Oh, parabola, kicking and it's coming down. So arches, and then a slide. A slide is half a parabola, but you know, if you're gonna go back up, oh, that's half a parabola. So pretty interesting. Pretty cool stuff, just so you can see like, hey, I can apply this in the futures of my life if I decide to go into the next level. Very cool. I can tell you a quick story. I know in college, we did do roller coasters. In college, they told us, hey, construct your own roller coaster with functions. So I got to use all types of functions and I pieced everything together to make my own roller coaster. It's very interesting. All right, here we go. Keep going to the next one. Vertex, of course, I would love for you to search up your own definition and say, okay, what is a vertex? You know what I mean? So, and it's cool. If you have any questions, do me a favor. Get that sticky note, type your question, say, hey, something, 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 and then put parentheses, your ID number, 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever. Close it so I can look you up and answer your question. Pretty cool, pretty interesting. All right, so my vertex, after you look it up, you should be able to see that at some point on my parabola, you can either say the maximum or minimum value. It's basically where the curve is happening, okay? So when we look at this slide, I'm going up this slide, and then I slide down. Here we can define it as our top value, our maximum value, but we're not going to get into that technical stuff today. We're going to get it on Friday. But it is our highest or lowest point of our graph. Now, when you're getting on the slide, you should be able to know, oh man, I'm on top of the sky because I know I'm about to go down. At that top, you're at the vertex. You could even say right here, boom. That's my vertex. We can find the coordinate. McDonald arches. What are the highest points of my arches? Boom. You should be able to plot that point. There's also one right here, but it's outside the graph, so we don't worry about it. Boom. And we only want to worry about one parabola. Pretty interesting. We're not going to talk about the points here, but give me your guesses. You know, put the sticky note, type it in, put your idea, and you give me some feedback, please. Next slide. Y-intercept. Check it out. Y-intercept, we got a roller coaster. What does the Y-intercept mean? If you're not sure, Google it up. Tell me the definition. Definition will tell you that's when your graph is crossing the y-axis. We even have it labeled right here. This is the y-axis. I'll highlight it for you. Now I know the roller coaster is almost over, but where did it start? Holy shoots. Started right there. That tells me a significant thing. What my y-intercept is, you should be able to plot the coordinates. Give me 1 second. Next. X-intercepts. X-intercepts, if you're not sure, look it up. Google it. It'll tell you the same thing that's very similar to the Y-intercept. That means it is crossing at the x-axis. Right here we have not to worry about the x-axis. We're worrying about and we're not worrying about the y-axis, we're worrying about the x-axis. We got a beautiful building. Where do I think the ground level is for this x-axis? So we got boom, -3, boom, at 4. Very, very cool, ladies and gentlemen. So make sure you just make that relation between real world and what we're about to do. So that's just for you guys to entertain yourself. Let's go into the notes. And remember, you just click there, it takes you to that area. Okay, let me zoom in real quick. Boom. Now let's get into the actual math stuff. So yes, today we're going over quadratic functions. The parent function is highlighted, f of x equals x, which is this guy. All right. We do have a standard form and we have a vertex form. Vertex form will be done next week, so don't worry about it right now. Standard form, we're not going to talk about it too much until we start doing transformations, but don't worry about it that much. This is the guy we're playing with, which is this parent function that goes through 0, and we'll talk about all the attributes of the parent function later. But let's jump right into it. Let's make sure, hey, there's 4 things that we need to learn today. We need to make sure we know how to graph. We need to make sure we know the vertex, the y-intercept, and the x-intercepts. So graphing the function, I don't want to make it too difficult on this because we do have a lot, we do not have a lot of time. So, gave you 2 bullet points. Hey, you can either use your graphing calculator or click that. It'll take you straight to decimals.com. You should know graphing calculator. Boom, boom. Remember, there's a couple things you got to do before you start graphing. Click the little tool. Go to arrows. Right here, I didn't realize that we could put the X step 1, y-axis y, step 1. All right, and we have our graph set up. After that, do yourself a favor. Type in that equation, that quadratic function, y equals x squared minus 8x. Take your time. Y, nope, I don't like your capital. Y equals x. Yeah, for me it's very difficult just because I have 2 thingamajigs, but it's okay. That's 8x plus 13 see there's my parabola. And we're going to talk about all these little coordinates that popped up, but we're not going to look at it right now. There should be another coordinate over here. Boom, right there. But this is my parabola, so let's try and graph it as close to possible on this graph. Okay, let me split screen real quick. Remember, you want to, if you already kind of know how to do it on your own. Don't wait for me. Okay. We can even zoom in a little bit because right here I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and right here I only see 5. So let's zoom in a little bit. There we go. Alright, as you can see, I can plot this point very nice and neat. So we got 4, negative 3. 4, negative 3. And these points are kind of not on exact numbers, so we're going to have to approximate. We can say close to 2 and close to 6, just to know that we're kind of on the right track, and we'll just draw our function. Again, we're just approximating because when you're taking these future tests and stuff like that, you're just comparing, making sure that you have the correct graph. Accuracy, I do eventually would like for you to make a table, plot some points. You can start with 0, and you'll get some numbers where you can plot all the points you need necessary. But that's too much work for today. We're just going to try and just go at it real quick. All right, same thing over here. Oops. Real quick. Let's modify this guy, negative 2. Put it back. Back. It's plus 4x. Plus 4x plus 1. Plus 1. Boom, boom. There's my parabola. This is like my McDonald's symbol. Lucky enough, we can see, okay, there's a point at 1, so I can easily put that point. Again, we're going to talk about all these points right now. So we got a point at 1. Got a top point, that's 1, 3. You should already know what that top point is because I talked about it a few seconds ago. Close to 0, close to 2. Just approximate. It doesn't have to be beautiful. Just remember, this is to do beautiful stuff. All right. And we can see, boom, boom, somewhat the same. I should be able to answer the question. All right. Pause it if you need to relook at it. Rewind if you need to look at it. Next part. So the graphing is not too difficult. Again, you can use Desmos or you can use a graphing calculator. This part is what we're going to talk about, the points, the attributes. Today is just part 1 because I didn't want to give you all too much information. But make sure you're saying, okay, Mr. Armidas gave me the definitions. The Y-intercept are the coordinates that cross the Y. The X-intercepts are when the coordinates cross the X. But they're also named, make sure you write this down or at least give yourself a little bit of leeway. X-intercepts can also be called zeros, roots, or solutions. So just be careful in the wording with questions. They'll give you a little confusion if you're not sure what it is, but I'll make sure you all remember that. Vertex is also the coordinates of the highest or lowest point of the parabola. What's a parabola? This function that we're dealing with today. All right. Real quick before we move on, and make sure that you all know how I want the answers. Okay. So first, this point that's crossing the Y, this is called my Y-intercept, so I'm just going to say this is my Y-intercept. How do I want my answer? I want it as a coordinate. Right here it's going to 2, so 2, 4, 6. This is right in the middle. So I know a lot of us are going to say, okay, just put 5. But no, it's not just 5. If I want it as a coordinate, what is my X value for this point? It's right here, which is technically 0. Trust me, if you want to look it up, put 0, 5, you're going to see the point pop up right up there. But 0, 5. This bottom box, this is my vertex. Talked about it right now with the McDonald's and the slide. It's either the highest or the lowest point of my parabola. What is the coordinate for this vertex? Remember, x goes first, so we go to x, 6, then we go to y, -4. That's my vertex. And lastly, these two other points, these are my x-intercepts. There's 2 of them. Oops. Be careful, I'll put a little, for the parabola you have 2, 1, or none. The parabola can be touching it twice, it could be touching it once, or it could be not touching it at all. So just be very mindful of that. I think I have a few examples about that. Let's keep going. 2 coordinates. What's the coordinate for this one? Well, I know it's 2, but what's my y value if it's on the x-axis? Be careful, y value right here in the middle, 0. Same thing over here. Okay, x-axis, so we got 10 as my x. What's my y? 0. Very interesting, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, your y-intercept's always going to have the 0 in the number. Your x-intercept's going to have the number and then the 0. Make a quick note of that. Pause it if you need to relook at it. No worries. Let's keep going. Examples, and then I'll go over the quiz. Alright, so it's right here, it says identify the vertex and the y or the x-intercept. So like I said, just depending on the problem, gosh, we'll look at it as this. It's not doing what I want. No worries. Alright, first one, identify the vertex and the y-intercept. Actually didn't include something without none. That's okay. Alright. Right here, the vertex. Okay, so what is this, a low or high point? Should be able to say, okay, I know the bottom of the curve is down here. That is my vertex. What's the coordinate? Make sure you do x and then y. We got 1, -2. Y-intercept, when is it crossing my y? When did my parabola hit the highlighter? Boom. Right there. You should be able to say, okay, the number's not there, but it's going by 1, so it's -1. But if I put in -1 right here or right here, don't forget it's x, y. -1 is on my y. What do I put as my x? We'll put 0 because there's no other number. Boom. Over here's a lot, so I'll let you all do that one just to make sure. Vertex is the highest point. Boom. Y-intercept crosses the y. And then the x-intercepts. We got boom. I'll help you with the x-intercept real quick. 2 points. X, y. X numbers are 2, -5, -6. Don't forget, since we don't see any y numbers on here, 0, 0. You should be able to do those 2. Alright. Let me see what else we gotta do. Like I said, all I cared about today is mainly the vertex, since we should have learned y-intercept and x-intercept last time. This is the exact same thing. I'll hook you up with the points because I didn't include examples of 1 or none zeros. That was my fault, no worries. Vertex, highest point, vertex, lowest point. Y-intercept, when it crosses the y, X-intercept, one is it crossing the Y. Oh, we can't see it, this is supposed to be X-intercept, so I'm gonna change that real quick. Oh, these are not even big intercepts, so don't even worry about this. We couldn't do the Y-intercept because we're not seeing any crossing on the Y-axis, no worries. But anyways, let me talk about something real quick. I need graph paper. Okay, one second. Good stuff, good stuff. This is the only part of online that makes it easy. Alright, graph paper real quick. So, what I meant by one and none do two colors just to kill the time. So the red is for 1, 0, or X-intercept, because I just mentioned that vocabulary. So red is going to be for 1, 0. So let's say our parabola touches right here. It's only touching one time. Okay? That one time, that is my X-intercept, my 0. I plot that point. And then blue is for none, or no zeros. Let me just put no. No zeros. Now, what does no zeros mean to you? I'm hoping you say, well, there's nothing that's happening, right? So you should be able to see this is a parabola where it's just coming. Does this touch anything on my x-axis? No, so this is 0, this is no zeros. This one is 1. Just real quick, because I didn't have any examples, let me copy that so I can paste it on the notes. Boom, and we should be good to go. All right, let me look at what we got right here. Don't forget, try and engage yourself. Remember, you're going to do either the Kahoot quizzes or Get More Math. Get More Math, I know a lot of us don't want to do it because it's just really complicated, but still get the extra practice. Don't forget to do the discussion. That is a grade. Let's look at the quiz real quick. Boom, boom. Which graph best represents the function? Like I said in our first example of the notes, you're going to go to decimals.com, put that in, match the best graph. This is a real star question. Second one, what is the Y-intercept? I'll do you a big favor right here. Y-intercept is, of course, the Y. Where do I see Y? Boom. So when does my graph cross that axis? What is the vertex? I even bolded it right there for you. If you're not sure, go back in the video. What is my vertex? Look at the definition. It's either something or something to the point. But you know what? I feel like in a great mood today. Vertex is my lowest point, but I'll give you a humongous hint. Be careful. The graph is shown. What are the zeros of the function? Right here, this is a big vocabulary word. I literally just went over it. The zeros, is it this point, this point, this point, or this point? You tell me, oh shoot, there's 2 answers, so you have to pick 2 of the 4. Be very careful. And the last one. Which one has no zeros? Again, I literally just went over that. Please look at all the graphs. Ask yourself, which one does not have a 0, and you should be all right. Hopefully you get an easy 100. Don't forget to do the discussion. Let me go back to the discussion real quick. How can you determine the number of solutions to the following quadratic function from its graph? So I gave you a graph. How are you deciding how many solutions there are? Please give me your thoughts. I do read this. For the people that are not doing it correctly, you are getting 0, so be very careful. All right. If you all have any questions, I'm going to be online at 10 o'clock. Please come if you need help. Of course, I can definitely give you any insight that you need. Other than that, have a terrific day.